Hey there guys, welcome to the next video here on the channel. There's going to be actually two different things about this time lapse. One, I'm actually going to be filming it in real time here, which is going to be kind of interesting. The first time I've ever done a time lapse in this way, kind of just like a normal video. And number two is I'm going to be filming it from the right side of my station, which is something I don't think I've ever done in the history of the channel. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this works. And so let's get started here on the time lapse. So this time lapse is going to be actually on making Lembas Bread leaf wrappers. You guys might be familiar with Lord of the Rings. It's coming out. The second part of The Hobbit is coming out pretty soon, in less than a week now. And as a baking project, I kind of took up making Lembas Bread from the Lord of the Rings movies. And of course, to make the leaf wrappers, I took a whole bunch of foam and paint and started painting the leaf wrappers. But I wanted to actually make one out of duct tape. And I'll be showing you exactly how I'm making those in this time lapse here, out of duct tape instead of the foam, obviously. So let's get started here on the tutorial, or not tutorial, the time lapse. Beg my pardon. I'll be using the lime green for this. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I have to do is cut a sheet of tape and actually stick all the things together to make the appropriate shape of the Malorn leaf here. All the Lembas bread always comes wrapped in these leaves, which is kind of the cool way that they decided to, well, I guess the cool way that Tolkien decided to pack the bread in the books, and eventually it was shown in the movies. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of green tape, the lime green duct tape, and I'm going to be using this as my duct tape sheet. I'm going to be applying these all together to make that sheet to cut the leaf out of. So I've got my first four here. I'm going to be sticking these together. And then I'm going to cut out probably four of them, and then I'm going to make the correct sized sheet of tape here. Alright, so it took a few more than 8 strips, probably close to 10, 5 on each side. So I'm sticking the last 2 on here. And this is probably always the most, monotonous work of duct tape, is when you're applying all the strips together to make a sheet. And because it's really just the same process over and over and over again, depending on how large the sheet is. So of course we'll stick that down just like that. Make sure, of course, that the leaf fits on there, which it does. Now we'll take a pen or a pencil and then kind of trace all the way around it and cut out with a pair of scissors, and then I'll be well on my way. Alright, so now time to trace all the way around. This will allow the leaf to be exactly the right size. If you guys want to learn how to do this, I'll put the link to the tutorial on making these out of craft foam in the description box, and that's exactly how I found out about this. And then of course from there you can make it out of foam. You don't have to make it out of duct tape. That's just something I decided to do here. So now I have to cut the entire thing out. Of course you want to make this as precise as possible to make it look just like the leaf shape. Just have to follow my marks on there. And unfortunately, there's always a lot of duct tape that you're kind of gonna waste on stuff like this, because of the way that you have to create a sheet of duct tape, there's always a bunch of duct tape that kind of gets cut off. And there's really not too much you can do with it because it's a sheet of tape and it's already been, stuck together. There aren't any sticky parts like on all of this piece over here. So not too much you can do about that. But you do end up with a lot of scrap, that's for sure. Alright, so cutting it towards the back here, you have to swoop in like that, and there we go. Looks pretty good. Round the edges a little bit, and there we have our leaf for wrapping up the Lembas bread. So from here I have to draw a few of the lines to make it look a little bit more like a leaf. And what I did on some of the foam ones that I've been making, I'll actually show you what a few of those look like. I used a little bit of Mod Podge to seal the marker in, and gives it kind of a glossy coating, which would be very close to what an actual leaf would look like. But these are the designs, of course, that are on the leaf here. I've just been doing them so often the past few days that I pretty much don't need to use the actual piece of paper. So let's see if I can get it back on camera here. Not exactly used to the camera being on that side, so it's a little bit different, but we'll see how it works. It's working, I guess, pretty okay so far. So working on all these little pieces of the leaves, making it look a little bit more like a giant leaf. Got a few on here. And 2 more. There we go. Looks pretty good right about there. Alright, so now we have the markings on the leaf. Now I can start, I'll probably do it on the other side as well, and then I'll start wrapping up the Lembas bread in it. Alright, so now it's time to put, of course, the Lembas bread into the leaf here. Now, if you guys want to figure out how to make this, I really just threw them together with a few just ingredients from scratch, but they're kind of like cookies, cross between cookies and shortbread, and you can get a whole bunch of recipes online. Maybe I'll throw a few of those into the description box as well. But that's kind of what they look like in the movies, in Lord of the Rings movies, as well as a few other adaptations. They kind of look like cookies, more or less. Definitely the square shape, about 3 inches across every way, and of course they have that X right in the middle of them. So how this works here is that I specifically baked them to the right size of the leaves here. So we get this one, and we wrap it up like that. Get this side and wrap it up like this. And from here, this is actually a lot easier to work with than the craft foam, because the craft foam actually has to be heated up with a heat gun to be able to form to this this part, but the duct tape is pretty easy. You can kind of just mold it to that part. So then of course this one goes over to the side. This is where the point is, and at this point I would probably take a little piece of a duct tape or a bit of Velcro and kind of stick it on there, and there you have the Lembas bread leaf wrapper. Alright, so that's pretty much exactly how it's made out of duct tape, which is something that I did just for this video, but now I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like out of the craft foam, which is a little bit different. I think it probably looks a lot better. That's what they look like. Of course, I used a lot much darker paint and made the lines a little bit smaller, but that's pretty much exactly what it is, just basically craft foam, and then I painted it green, of course, and then stuck the folded it this certain way and used the heat gun to heat it up, and then you can kind of mold it into the shape you want, and then of course it stays like that, which is probably the best part. So to open it up, I'll take it open here, and of course the Lembas bread goes straight in the middle, just like that. This goes back right about there. And there you have it. So it's actually kind of a really cool compact case. Of course, it's got that Mod Podge on it, so that kind of glistens a little bit in the light. I think it looks a lot cooler, of course, than the duct tape, but hey, it is pretty cool to make something like this out of duct tape as well. Let's see if I can kind of... There we go. So that's kind of what it looks like out of duct tape and out of the craft foam. So once again, I'll put in the description box the tutorial on how to make this out of the craft foam. It's definitely something really cool if you're a huge Lord of the Rings nut like I am. It's really cool to make this kind of stuff, because it looks like, just from the movies, and you can make some cool cookies or Lembas bread out of a few recipes online. So I hope you guys liked the video. Once again, check out the description box for a few cool links, and I'll catch you guys next time on the channel for a tutorial coming very soon. See you around for that.